All right, let's try it out. Are you able to hear me? Can someone confirm if you're able to hear me? Hello? Are you able to hear me? Hello? Okay, okay, all right. You can hear me now. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna have a little adjustment here, but it is okay. We are going to work with it. Thank you again for joining us on this evening's webinar, this evening's GMetrix webinar. And our webinar is going to be the GMetrix Study. So with the GMetrix Study Guide, as you are, this is, or me, some of you are, some of you may not be aware, it's not a new tool that GMetrix has incorporated. It is different. It is, we did do some changes to it, but it is not a new tool, but this is an amazing tool for your students to be able to remediate themselves and help to prepare themselves for certification exams. This tool is absolutely amazing for them so that your students can be able to see the areas where they need to focus at, and then they can take that information and they can focus on specific areas. So they're not, you're where, while you as the teacher are focusing on areas of need for the entire class, your students have the opportunity to focus on the areas of need. Before we go ahead and dive into this, okay, before we go ahead and dive into this, there are a few things I want to share. You are able to ask questions as we go through the webinar. At the top on the right hand side, there is a question mark. There are questions, and there are speakers. Let's try that. Or there are question and speakers. There's a question mark, and you are able to put any questions that you have there, and we will answer them as we go through. The video will be recorded. This webinar will be recorded and placed on our YouTube page. You also have the option, we will also put some additional information there for you so that you can access GMetrix and so that you can see some information for our study guide. So in the chat, we do have our technical support, Cole, on here with us. Thank you so much, Cole. Cole is he has posted some links there, some amazing links there. We have our GMetrix knowledge base where you can see articles and videos about anything that you may need help with GMetrix, as well as you can contact our technical support team if you need technical support. You also have our Facebook and LinkedIn there where we will be posting our upcoming webinars as well as any new product releases or any information in regards to GMetrix. There's also our YouTube page, and our YouTube page is where we will have past and future webinars as well as videos in regards to things that we've noticed that might be beneficial for you as the educators and learners to utilize for GMetrix. So the GMetrix Study Guide, we'll go ahead and get started. The GMetrix Study Guide. To access the GMetrix Study Guide, you will need to log into the student dashboard at gmetrix.net. You will need to log into the student dashboard at gmetrix.net. And each student will have their own study guide. As long as they redeem a practice test, they will have their own study guide. So what I'm going to do, I am going to go ahead and go down to a program, and I am going to choose my Adobe program here. Actually, I'm going to choose my GS6 program here just so you can see what the study guide looks like. As I said, students, if they redeem a code for a practice test, they will be able to see the study guide. Once they click on the tab for the content that you have added into their course, they will be able to see the study guide, their course practice exams, and any custom exams that you have created for them. And they will just choose study guide. Once they're in the study guide, sorry, let's get back to our study guide here. All right. When they will choose start, once they're in a study guide, they are able to choose the date for their upcoming exam. So students are able to choose the date, put in the date for their upcoming exam, and it will give them a countdown to that exam. They're also able to see a quick review. I'll come back to that in just a moment. They're able to see their course exam and mastery. Within their course exam and mastery, they're able to see the practice exams passed in testing mode. So be sure that this will only populate when your students are in testing mode. They're able to see the subjects, the topics mastered. So one thing you want to note is passing score on the practice exam is going to be 70%. But in order for it to be considered mastered in GMetrix, it's 80% on the topic. That's not the particular exam. So if they take practice exam 1 and score 80%, it's not going to show mastered here because this mastered is based on the individual objectives. And these individual objectives are what are shown right here. All right. So that's what that mastered is going to be. And then it has the courses completed if you have a course. So when your students first log into the study guide, what is going to happen is they will be able to see the objectives, they'll be able to see opportunities and strengths. All of the objectives are going to start out as opportunities. Okay, all of the objectives are going to start out as opportunities. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to a different one here to see if I can make it so you can see it better. Nope, it's still going to show the same. So all objectives will start out as opportunities, and that will be that all of them will be listed there under the opportunities. And there we go. And as your students go through, now I'm going to switch back. Sorry, my apologies. And as your students are taking the exam in testing mode, once they master the particular objective with 80% or better, it will switch from an opportunity over to a strength. All right. And these scores here, these are going to be your students' proficiency scores on each individual objective. And they will need to take the exam in testing mode a few times for a proficiency score to update. So this is telling them exactly where they need to focus their studies on. All right. So it'll tell them exactly which objectives they need to focus on. And if they click on the particular objective, they have a few options. They'll be able to see the questions attempted. They'll be able to see course resources if they have a course. If you have a course here, you have course resources. And those course resources link back to the course in order to reiterate that particular objective. And that shows a video where you're also able to see are questions, the questions that are in that particular objective. And this is where I want you to focus on with your students. They're able to see those questions that are in that objective, but not only are they able to see the questions, they're able to see the answers, and they're able to see the explanation for those questions. They are also able to take notes on those questions. And this is great. Being able to take notes on those questions are great for the students, especially sometimes you have students that are English language learners. This is where they can put notes to help them remember that question in their native language, remember certain points on it. And those students that are native English speaking students, they are able to put notes there to help them remember specific points about that question. Now, you as the teacher will not be able to see the notes that the students add. The notes are saved, so the students will have to come back here and in order to review those notes. You also have the sub-objectives. And with the sub-objectives, it's more of an understanding based on your program. You get more of an understanding, more information on that particular objective. But the main thing that I want you to see here is that with each of the objectives, you're able to, the student, because it's based on the student is able to create a custom exam in training or testing mode with the questions from that particular objective. So I'll say that again. The main thing here is the students are able to create a custom exam in training or testing mode with the questions from this particular objective. So there's 8 questions here. All they have to do is choose training or testing, and then they can launch a test with all of the questions. So they have that. Now I will go on to our quick review. Quick Review is yet another amazing tool. And a few things about Quick Review. You have the mode, so your students are able to choose the mode, whether they want to have a test in testing mode or training mode. And we know training mode, it gives you the answer and an explanation immediately following each question. And in testing mode, you get the score report at the end. You are able to review that score report. You are able to review those questions that you missed, and you are able to review those objectives on that score report. Now, what they're also able to do, they have the question type, and they can choose lowest. And lowest will show you how many questions, number of questions that you scored, that the student scored the lowest on out of the entire question bank. They are able to choose a random number of questions. And random is going to show you, it will give you the entire question bank, and say you can choose 30 questions out of the entire question bank, and it'll tell you, okay, so for those 30 questions, it's going to take you 45 minutes. You choose them in testing mode, and then you choose start test. But what the students are also able to do, and this is so amazing, because how many times have our students come to us and say, hey, Miss Ross, question number 3 said that Megan was trying to use the formula concatenate in Excel, or they were trying to use a formula and I didn't know what that formula meant, but they couldn't give us information on the question, so we were struggling ourselves trying to help them. What they can do in the top right corner of each of the exams, it says flagged. You can mark it for review, and then they can come here to the quick review and choose flag, and it'll tell them how many questions that they have marked for review, and they can create a custom exam in training or testing mode with only the questions that they have marked for review. I do recommend that they create them in this way. They will get that answer and they will get that explanation immediately after the question. No, there is not a timer counting down. So they are able to ask their student helper, their student teacher, or they're able to ask you as their teacher for assistance with that particular question and ensure that they have an understanding without being on a time limit. So that these are 3 great ways here, 3 great uses for quick review, and where your students can create custom tests based on their areas of need, their individual areas of need, rather than when you as a teacher create custom tests, you're usually doing it based on what the class needs, but the students can focus on their particular needs and prepare for the test here. They also have the option to choose topics and objectives. And what this does, it's color coded. It has all of the topics and all of the objectives as same as a certification exam, and it's aligned with those objectives and topics that you get from the Certiport website. And it's color coded. So green means they're proficient, and proficiency is a score of 81 to 100%. Yellow is going to mean that they're familiar. That means they have a score of 51 to 80% on those particular questions. Red means that they need development. Their score is 50% or lower on those particular questions, and they need development. So they can come over here. They will have like I said, all the topics, all of the objectives, and they can come over and they can choose a test to do a test in testing mode or training mode with all of these questions, or they can choose a particular topic for the questions, or they can choose a particular objectives within those topics and then see how many questions fall within that objective. I need to change this back here to you are able to see how many questions are available, but they can choose the questions within that objective. And see, now I have between these three objectives I've chosen, I have 33 questions. And I can choose a number of questions. So I can say I want to choose 15 questions. I've chosen testing mode, and it's telling me it's going to take me 22 minutes to do those questions. And I can choose start test. So that is yet another way for your students to create their own custom tests focused on their individual areas of need. This frees up you as a teacher to you can create custom tests, you can work on additional curriculum on reteaching for areas for the entire class, and then the students can focus on their own for areas of their individual needs. And that's the GMetrix Study Guide. Again, if you have any questions, you may put them in the chat. You may put them in the chat at the top right hand side. There's a question mark there. You may put your questions there, and we will go through it. So one of the questions, does it have a translation component? So you are able to translate your practice test as well as your interface into different languages. To translate your interface, you go over to language, and then you want to choose the language that you want to translate your interface into. When you translate your practice tests, our practice tests are available in several languages. When you start your practice test, that is where you will translate your practice test at. So I'll show you that quickly. And then for your practice test, you press start, and then it asks you right here, what language that you want to choose, and then that's the language that your practice test will open in. I'm going to change this back to English so that I don't get confused. All right. All right. So let's see. Thank you, Holly. Next question. Can they set the date like tomorrow in class for the end of the semester, even if we have already been working? And will it use the progress made so far? Absolutely. Absolutely. I will go back here to my study guide. And I just clicked on the tile for the curriculum, and then I chose study guide. You can absolutely set your date for your practice exam in the future. All right, you can click on it, or you can move forward. I'm going to set it for May 1st, 2025. Yes, and this particular program, I have been working on this particular program for 2 years. Okay, so it updates my proficiency, it updates my opportunities, it will update my date, every time I come back to it. So absolutely, if you have started working, you can go ahead and update it will use the information that you have already um, done, and it will update it for the future. Remember though, you must use it in testing mode. It will only update your opportunities and your strengths based on tests that we're taking in testing mode. Are there any more questions? Any additional questions? One thing, while we wait and see if there are any more questions, one thing I also want you to do, encourage your students, is when they take their practice exams, they're able to see their score reports. Right? They're able to see their score reports. Encourage them to actually review their score report, not just look at the score. Many will look at the score and that's it. But this score report has a lot of information. So I'm able to review my missed questions. And then if you do this in testing mode, you're able to review your missed questions up to 5 times. And what it does, it changes it to training mode, and then you are able to see the explanations. You're able to change your answers. It will not change your score, but you're able to see that information, and that will help you to find out how to correct what you have done. You have this breakdown, and again, the breakdown uses that color code, so the red, yellow, green, and it will tell you how many questions you missed out of the total number of questions, and in what specific topics you are proficient in for that exam, and what specific topics you need development in. But if you look at them, it varies a little bit based on the program. But if you look at them, you're able to click the review, and you're able to see the question stem. You're able to see the objective. You're able to see the correct answers and the explanation there. And again, it varies a bit based on your program. You're also able to see the objectives, so you can go through all of the objectives that were on and see what was on that exam and where you need to focus on for that particular exam, so that you can be better, so that you can increase your score, so that your opportunities will change over to strengths. So you want to encourage your students to make sure that they are utilizing this school report as well. All right, I do not see any more questions in the chat. All right. All right. As I said, this will be posted. This will be posted on YouTube. Our marketing department will go ahead and get that posted on YouTube for you to review. You will also receive a survey following this webinar. Please be sure to give us your feedback on that survey, so that we can make sure that these webinars are tailored toward you and provide you the information that you need. We do ask that you join us for our next webinar. Our next webinar will be in October. This is October. I'm sorry. Our next webinar will be November the 6th, and that is going to be on our student journey through GMetrix. All right, our student journey through GMetrix. I have one more question here, Nicole. When test is retaken, does the last test cancel out the others? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You will continuously be able to see your work. One way you will continuously be able to see your work, when you're looking at your program page and you go to your score report, you're able to see all of your score reports. So here at the top, this drop down, it enables you to see all of your score reports. So again, like I said, I've been working on this course for years. So I can see my score report. This one is dating all the way back to 2022. That's one way. What you also have is over here on the left, students are able to click on their transcript, and on their transcript, they are able to see all of their activity within that they have done within that student dashboard. That will not only say they are in an Adobe class and a Microsoft class at the same time, or last year they had Microsoft, this year they have Adobe. They will be able to see all of that. As you can see, my transcript dates back to 2022. All right, it dates back to 2022, but I'm able to see my practice test, and I am able to see my coursework there as well. So nothing will cancel, it will not cancel out. You will be able to see all of your past work, and this is printable. This is printable. Great question, Shirlene. All right. If there is nothing else, again, I appreciate you joining us, and I hope to see you all November 6th for the Student Journey webinar. It will be at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all so much, and have a great evening. Okay.